And let's start with those three generals. So this is the largest in the sector, Bayly Holmes-Ovcon, WBHO as they call it. It's a newer company, 1970. It used to be a small player, but then kind of came to the fore, really good at high value construction. In other words, buildings where there's a architect who's gone wild and somebody needs to work out how to actually turn it into a conceivable, livable, workable building. 10 billion rands worth of market cap, price earnings ratio 14.45, dividend yield 2.86. Let's go straight to the share chart. Over 5 years, you don't really get a sense of it, but it's done better than most.
Yeah, so Bayly Homes is a firm favorite in the construction space. It's regarded as the highest quality counter. You've got the highest cash generation. You have a low gearing position generally. And these guys just have a little bit of a higher margin as well than the rest of the construction space.
That's probably because they pick up slightly higher quality construction tender work because they're known to be able to deliver on that. And then the margin's a little bit more juicy than some of their competitors.
And I mean, even if you compare them to some of the other guys in terms of contract losses and disputes, very few. They really don't come through for this company.
That's interesting because this is one of the few industries where fights between the customer and the supplier are so well entrenched and so frequent that they have to take insurance for that. That's odd.
I mean, and it's absolutely crazy. It impacts these guys' earnings every single year. I mean, we'll speak about Marianne Roberts in a little bit as well. Massive contract losses in the last year. And what differentiates Bayly Homes is that they really don't have that. They've got good supply relationships.
Often contract disputes run into multi-year disputes once the building's already been finished and occupied, or the train tunnel has been taken over. And it's like arbitration and then appeals and all sorts of fighting and whether or not to provision for it and so on. Okay, one blot against their copybook was the competition fine related process. How do you see that whole thing having happened? That's South Africa specific and it relates to abuses in the 2010 period.
Yeah, it was an industry-wide type situation, and there seems to have been collusion on these guys' part in terms of building those big stadiums for 2010. The fines are massive, and most of the guys just kind of decided to settle and not even go into much detail or fight it any further. Bayly Homes was one of the companies that just decided to settle and be done with it, but we still really don't have any clarity on who exactly coordinated this thing.
I guess the key question though, is that done and dusted, or are there potentially more claims, not necessarily from government side, but what about from people like, you know, the Cape Town City Council or something that had the stadium built for them in Cape Town?
Yeah, I mean, there could still be those kinds of, what do you call them, civil claims?
Yes.
Yeah, there could still be civil claims, but the big one was the government penalty, and that seems to be behind these companies, which could also be why there was some sort of a relief rally in these counters or a value rally in these counters over the last 12 months.
The absence of more bad news.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to go hot or not because we can't carry on forever. So this is the premier company in the sector. This is the one with the best management and the best margins. You are concerned, though, that the forward multiples suggest maybe people got a bit too excited already.
Yes, and with Bayly Homes in particular, they're having a lot of trouble in Australia. They are trying to grow that business. Their order book is dropping quite substantially. I think their order book is down 30% in Australia year on year. And that the pipeline is under threat a little bit. We also don't know where they're going to get new massive high quality projects from after Waterfall.
And after here in Sandton.
And after Sandton. And
can I point at this point to the fake Sandton skyline? If anyone has ever wondered while watching this show whether we are actually and could actually jump out the window, I'm sorry to say we can't. This is just a
backdrop. Yeah, the real Sandton skyline at the moment, if you actually look at it, is filled with cranes. And Bayly Homes is one of the companies whose names would be on that crane.
So the concern is that a lot of that had to do with the Sandton growth node and the train station, Gautrain, this, that. But there's concern that if we go into a period where confidence remains low, politics is uncertain, will people press the button on those things? Who knows?
Yeah, and Bayly Homes is so exposed to these massive civil projects. I just don't see where the catalyst for that order book is near term. Even though it's a high quality company, it'll have to be a not based on valuation and that.
Okay, so we're going not hot on this.